Do you want to test?
Of course, they always test. Alright, man, so if you don't mind, if you can get a little close, what happened to your knee?
So Sunday I actually had this happen. I was hopping a fence. I had to get something from the other side. It made it all right to the other side, but I scaled the wall down. Does this adjust? It does.
Damn it. Yeah, it does. And then you can just kind of point it towards you a little bit.
Does that sound better right here?
Right about, yeah. So,
cool.
I mean, you're a music producer, you probably know.
Yeah.
How to talk into a microphone.
Yeah.
Yeah, you sound good. Can you talk a little bit?
Mic check, 1 2 1 2.
There you go. Sounds nice and clear.
Cool.
All right, well, welcome back, everybody, once again. Another episode.
Is this
Episode
what,
number
26? 26.
That's crazy, man.
Damn.
That's almost like, 26 weeks that we've been here. That's insane.
Yeah, for real. Well, what was
long.
it since, October last year?
Something
November?
like that. Yeah, so.
Has it been 26 consecutive weeks?
Well, we've
No,
skipped a
no,
few.
no.
Oh, okay.
There's been I don't know, we've spent maybe 4 or 5
Yeah, something
so
like that.
far.
Mhm.
Because sometimes we're just too busy to
Sure.
even make the time for it, or just do it in align with other people's schedule.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we can be pretty flexible with time, but not everyone can work around when we can. You know, they're like, oh, I work till this time or whatever it is. You know, so that's why we skipped a few times too. And other times, me and him were both out of town, or I was out of town one week and he was out of town the other week. So it was we just had to skip a few, but we're trying to.
But in general, I'm
to
kind of
get back on
surprised
track.
how consistent we've been
Yeah.
with us.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we've only skipped a few out of 26, so
Yeah.
Right on.
it's not bad at all. Dude.
All right, well, thank you for coming in, bro. We appreciate you coming in. Do you
Absolutely.
want to
Thank you
introduce
guys, yeah.
yourself? Tell the people your name, your
Yeah.
handles, what do you do, all that good stuff.
So I'm TokageWayne. You can find me on Instagram at TokageWayne or TikTok at Wayne Swanson. TikTok, you can find me promoting self-care and self-love and
Oh, that's
dismantling the mold of masculinity.
Nice. That's
nice.
super dope.
As well, and then Instagram, that's all just all my music stuff. To kind of dive into that, if you like, I've just been writing since about maybe 13 years old. Producing since about 15.
How old are you right now?
29, turn 30 in a month.
Oh, wow.
There you go.
Yeah,
It's been
yeah,
a hell of a long time.
Yeah, a long time.
Yeah, no, and so now it's just kind of I'm late to the mixing game when it comes to engineering.
Yeah.
But I've taken the time to learn that, and so now I'm just kind of fine tuning things, and I'm trying to get my LLC to where I can just be my own production company. And
Gotcha.
Start
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Oh, that's
things
super
like
interesting,
that.
man.
Yeah.
So what is one of the things that you do the most? I know you have TikTok, you have your other
Instagram and
stuff. So
stuff,
what's
yeah.
the main thing that you focus on? Is there one thing that you do more than the others?
So out of content, when it comes to creating content, it's pretty much primarily music. TikTok I try to do about weekly. Lately I've just kind of gotten more focused with producing my album than I have when it comes to making little videos.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
It really is just about finding that balance, because it's not just with music. I try to get involved with visual work as well. I'll sketch little designs for logos as well and so it's just trying to find a balance for all of that to be being able to be productive and not counterproductive by piling too much on myself. You know
That's
what I mean?
interesting.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. So what kind of music do you like to focus on more than anything?
I produce primarily hip hop. Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Sweet.
Yeah, I'd like to learn more with guitar and just kind of songwrite for people, and even if it's just a personal hobby to play guitar, you know. But when it comes to my passion, it's definitely hip hop. Yeah.
Okay. So did you grow up with that music genre, or what kind of made you want to do hip hop more than anything?
My dad was in a band, but I was never. So I was brought up around rock and roll, but I didn't necessarily find a liking to it. I was kind of raised I remember in elementary school I was going to Sparks Library, right, and they would have CDs that you could rent out. So I rented Jay-Z's Blueprint.
Okay.
Right. And then I would be able to download that onto my Windows Media Player, right? So that was one of the albums that kind of inspired me growing up, as well as Dr. Dre, Snoop.
Okay. So just
interesting.
90s hip hop.
A lot of
pretty
90s
much.
hip hop, absolutely, yeah.
So do you only produce, or do you also are you an artist as well?
Yeah, I'm an artist.
Okay.
as
Do you
well,
have any
yeah.
albums out right now?
Yeah, so I had released and produced my album Pangea. That released 2019, July 26th. And then my latest EP was 6. That was released last June, and
Oh,
that one I didn't
interesting.
necessarily promote just because it was during a time of that was when George Floyd, Breonna Taylor,
Yeah.
and all,
Okay.
everything was going on. So it's just like we
Like
need
the
to focus
BLM
on
movement
this
and
and like
stuff? Yeah.
not focus on music kind of thing.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So you
Oh,
you said you're
interesting.
currently working on another one right now?
Yeah. So this one's actually instead of an EP, I'm trying to remove myself off of beat leases.
Yeah.
And since since I'm capable of making my own, you might as well just like, okay, master that, right? So that way you can just keep doing that, and I can own 100% of it.
Oh, I see. I see.
And whereas like with the beat lease, you have to, if you start with the basic, right, you get a certain amount of streams. If you elevate behind, like more than that stream, then you have to get the next license. So it's just like I'd rather just do that with my own stuff.
Oh, okay.
And so this next one's going to be about 9 songs.
Okay.
It's got so it'll be titled POGO, which is an acronym for Pretty Ones Go Off.
Oh, okay.
And so a lot of the focus is just kind of like that same thing. It's just like how can I bring catchy dance along beats, right? That kind of uplifting that people can hear and like catch on to, but also have a message that's not like the same monotonous, like when it comes to like I feel like hip hop nowadays it's very
Like the trap beats?
it's not necessarily sound, it's more of like content. So like, what are you saying in your lyrics, right? It's just like okay, you can speak about money to some degree, right? But at one point it's just like you either have too much of it, you have enough of it, or like, you know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah.
Or like drugs is just like for me when it comes to writing, it's just like I have to be mindful of what I'm putting out, right? Because like I'm either speaking that into existence somewhere, or I'm gonna attract whatever energy I put out is gonna come back to me, right? Or if I'm promoting something, right, to like a younger generation, because like that's never what we think about. We always think about like what feels good to us, but it's just like how is this going to
Affect
translate to the
Yeah.
audience? You know what I mean?
I like that, man.
Yeah.
You definitely want to have like a strong message behind your
Yeah.
music. Is that what you're trying to do?
Yeah.
And with that, not to cut you off or anything, it's just like because you have when it comes to hip hop, you have like conscious rap, and then you have like kind of commercial rap, and it's just like you have to find your demographics. It's like okay, there's only certain people who want to hear you talk about like social and racial issues in your music, you know what I
Yes.
mean? And like Cole and Kendrick can kind of get away with that, as well
Yeah.
as like still come with the heat, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like you don't want to hear Migos rapping about
Yeah.
like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like, how can I still have a message that's positive outside of music, but still produce music that is good for the culture? You
Right.
get what
Oh,
I'm
I
saying?
see. Uh-huh.
Have you always been invested into the social aspect of like, you know, being outspoken about things that are happening in the world, or is that something that you just, like recently got into?
I'd say recently, because like, with me, so I'm real introverted, and so like even just like reaching out when you guys were like, hey, does anyone want to come out next week? Blah, 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 I was like, absolutely. So this was like new for me to do, right?
Okay.
I don't necessarily put myself in this kind of position to kind of like
Put yourself out there.
exactly,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
And so when it comes to that, absolutely, it's been recent, but for me, it's like, especially as a white hip hop artist, it's like, okay, I have to acknowledge that I'm a guest in this house, right? Because it is known that hip hop is black culture.
Yeah.
And so it's just like, as a white artist, what am I doing for black culture? You
I
know what I
see.
mean?
Yeah.
Yes.
Or am I just in this just because like, oh, I love hip hop, these are my favorite hip hop artists, so like I want to make music like them. It's just like it's not me. I'm trying to do more than that, and I'm trying to like elevate other artists' way of thinking when it comes to like
Do you
approaching music.
do you have any inspirations as far as artists go? Like artists that you kind of just get inspiration from, like whether they're like black or white or whoever it is, like any kind of hip hop artist?
Yeah. So I'm greatly inspired by like Bay Area artists.
Okay.
I was brought on. That was like high school, and then after high school, I graduated and went to college in Oakland, was studying music out there, and so just kind of tampered more into the soil out there. Like I said, like Wu-Tang was another big one for me. Anything new age now is like Heaven Gates, and that's just like I have a soft spot for trap. It's just like I can't relate to it, but it's just like, you know, it's good to work out to. You know?
Yeah. There's like a time and place for very lyric-y, like catchy hip hop, and then there's like another one where you just want to kind of enjoy the fun of it, if
Yeah.
that makes sense. Like, you don't want to go to a club and listen to like
Macklemore.
Wu-Tang Clan.
Yeah.
Like, you want to listen to
Actually, I wouldn't mind listening.
I mean, I wouldn't
It's
either.
like it's a nice downbeat kind of thing. It's just like
Yeah.
a sip kind of thing, and then next
yeah. Like, but I'm saying like you go to like a club in Miami, they're gonna be playing like the most newest catchy
Sure.
Migos song or whatever. I mean, I would love to go to a club and they had Wu-Tang and Jay-Z and like all that.
Just all 90s,
that'd be sick.
yeah.
But it's just, it doesn't happen. Like,
Yeah.
people tend to go for what's the catchiest like trap rap.
What
What's
do you
now?
I'm not super invested into like the music industry, right?
Mhm.
But what do you think about where the state of the music industry is right now? Is that something, do you feel like there's a lot of people out there speaking out against all the things that are going on in the world, or do you feel like there should be probably more of that? Do you see it locally? Is there anything that they can kind of tell us a little bit about that?
I think when it comes to like, we always look at it as like politics, and we always try to remove politics from anything. I mean, you've seen it with sports, but it's just like these are kind of platforms that help elevate people's awareness to certain things. You know,
Yes.
not too many people knew about police brutality until Cat was kneeling. You know, and like that just created a conversation where someone had patriotism misconstrued as something else, right? But it's just like, okay, that's not the point. It was nothing. It had nothing to do with military, right? It's just like that creates that conversation to have. So, I'm trying to remember your question. It was
Do you feel like there should be more people, or people should be more outspoken in their songs or in their music?
maybe not so much their songs, right? I mean, how you write is how you write. Freedom of expression is for anybody. But like for me, it's what are you doing outside of the music?
Oh, I see.
Are you just in music for like the money that comes from it, or are you within the culture to elevate the culture and move it forward?
Right.
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so when it comes to speaking out, it's just like you don't necessarily have to write about like police brutality or what's going on or however you like financial equity for everybody, right? Like you don't have to necessarily write about that, but you can still help get involved and create solutions and resources within your community outside of the music. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that was one thing for me when Nipsey passed. I don't know if this is still here.
No, yeah.
But like,
good.
The impact it left on me was just like I don't understand how someone can be removed from a city who is so positive and such like light and love and such. I don't want to say that LA is like a dark place, but you get what kind of comes from there,
Yeah, I mean, it's not the lightest place in the world, but
right. And so when that happened, it was just like I want to be a pillar in my city to where I can help those who need help, right? And inspire those or inspire others who may be in a position like me or in my position to also be pillars, right? Because if you have more than one support beam, right, you're able to hold a roof and then build from that. You get what I'm saying? And that's all I'm trying to do for the community of Reno. And so, like for instance, last year before COVID hit, I had partnered up with a nonprofit out here who their cause is to fight like human trafficking and sex trafficking. And so I was able to reach out to a venue, let them know like, hey, this is what we're doing. This is who I'm partnering with. We were just looking for a venue and a date, and we were able to get it all situated. I was able to get a few local artists as well on the bill, and get it all arranged. And then obviously, June was canceled. So taking from that was like, okay, we have the tools to do it. We have people who are willing to contribute. So now we just have to put it in action, and just not even just with like sex trafficking that's going on locally, but like also our homeless community is kind of increasing, if you will.
It's definitely getting out of hand now compared to like, I mean, there was always homeless people here, but it's definitely like getting a lot higher. You know, like it's like when you go to like San Francisco, there's homeless everywhere. Portland, LA, even Sacramento, like areas like that. And I feel like Reno is just, it's sad to see, you know what I mean? Like, because obviously there's been all these increases here with all that, and that's just a totally different conversation. But it sucks just even like driving near downtown and there's like tents everywhere, or just like, I know they just opened up the shelter, didn't they?
Yeah,
like a new one.
Okay.
like a new facility that houses, I think, like 900 or more
Okay.
people
Yeah.
or something like that, which I don't know.
Shit.
I mean, I hope most of them, go to it because it's just safer than being in the street. But no, yeah, I agree with you, man. The homeless number
like,
here is just crazy.
With that too, it's just like not just shelter, but it's just like, do we have any like rehabilitation programs that
That's the
help
thing. It's a hot take
get
because
people on their feet? You know what I mean?
Mhm.
that's a hot take because there's a lot of people out there that it's not only just their economic situation, they're also suffering from mental health
Yeah.
issues
Mhm.
and stuff like that. So it's like, how do you really take on that? You know, it's definitely hard.
Like you can put
where do you
people
even
in
start?
homes, but are they mentally stable
Right.
Mhm.
to even be there?
Mhm.
You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Or just get on by themselves?
Yeah.
Like, I think that's something that needs to be talked about more, and have something come into plan. Like you did
There should
step
be a
one.
better solution than having people wandering streets.
Right.
Absolutely, yeah. Or
Yeah.
housing them for like a night, maybe 2 nights a week.
Yeah,
Exactly.
it's like, hey, you got a shelter, but what's next
Mhm.
after that?
Yeah.
Mhm.
So
All right, so back to the music. What's the state of the Reno, like the local music industry? Like, is there anything happening right now, as far as shows, concerts, anything?
I think right now they're starting to get shows up and going. As far as the local scene, I'm not too invested. I know there's a few cats out here who are talented. There's a lot of talent in Reno. That's undeniable.
Mhm.
And I don't know whether they're coming from somewhere else. What doesn't matter, right? Reno has a lot of music talent, and that's another thing. That's another reason why it's just like, for me, it's like if we are able to be on the same page, help each other out, but also have a bigger cause or be a part of a cause that's bigger than us.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
It just, I don't know. There's something about unity for me, and I'm passionate about it simply because so TokageWayne is my handle for Instagram. The story behind that is a few years ago my buddies had recommended Naruto to me, right?
Mhm.
And so that made I had a lot of connection, right, when it came to like the storyline.
Mhm.
Yeah.
He doesn't know anime,
I don't
but
know
I
if you're
do.
familiar with anime.
Yeah, no,
Sometimes
I'm
the story can like
I'm
pull
listening.
your
I'm
heart
trying. No, I'm
strings.
listening to you. I'm trying to understand it.
I know everything about that show, so yeah, feel free to talk about it.
No, so in Konoha, that's the village,
Mhm.
also known as Hidden Leaf Village.
Mhm.
But the strongest shinobi is the Hokage or the
Mhm.
Kage, right? Whatever of whichever village, and their role is pretty much to kind of like protect and overlook the village, make sure that the village is good.
Mm-hmm.
And I've kind of taken that on. I made a joke to my friend about how I wanted to get the headband, but have a pot leaf instead of leaf, because I'm like from the Hidden Leaf Village, but the other leaf village.
Oh, I
know
see
what
what- yeah.
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 So as a joke for a Secret Santa, he had gifted me that same headband with the cutout of
Of the pot
like
leaf
the
on it?
pot leaf, yeah, and giving me the Hokage robe, and they started calling me Tokage, and so from then I was just like
I get it.
Tokage, yeah,
I get
yeah.
it. Okay.
And so I was just like, okay, TokageWayne will be it, and like the village will be my mission, and the village is not just Hidden Beat Village. It will be my production company.
Oh, that's pretty sick.
And
That's
so,
dope.
Thank you. Yeah, no,
I like
and
that.
So the village is not just the production company, but like however I move as a village, as the village, and I'm always looking out for the village, which is
Mhm.
essentially Reno.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes. Yes.
And so yeah. Now
I-
I'm just trying to
I-
find other
no, I like
shinobi.
No, I
that,
really, I relate to that. I feel like that's. I don't know how you feel about this, but that's kind of what we've been trying to do, with
Yeah.
the photography community, or we're just with the creative community here in Reno.
That was
Yeah.
one of the reasons we started this in the first place.
Yeah.
Is like bring more local people. Like you said, there's a lot of talent here
Mhm.
for many different things. you know?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
And we saw this as a way of like, I'm not gonna say names of podcasts, but I before we did this, I saw podcasts that would kind of do something similar, but they focus so much on like the people who were established.
Mm.
You know what I mean? Like they would bring in a guest, but it was like a super well known, like everybody knows who this person
Sure.
is, not really giving the up and comers
Mhm.
a chance. And like we definitely made all this happen as like a combined effort, like me and him.
Yeah.
Like he had the space, like all the equipment, he does the editing, you know what I mean, like all that stuff. I just kind of had an idea one day, and he's like, let me in, and I'm like, dude, yeah, hell yeah. Of all people, I wanted him to do it with me anyway.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how all this came about. And my number one thing was like, I just want to bring everybody. Like, I don't care if you have 20 followers or if you have 30,000 followers. Like, I don't care. Like, come on, so that anyone who doesn't know you gets to know you. And if people know you, maybe they get to know things about you that they didn't know.
Yeah.
Because you may claim you know someone based off of social media, but that's just the persona that the person has through, like,
you get to see what I want to post.
Like even in like a 1 hour interview, like you talk about certain topics and you're like, oh, I would have never known this person felt about it like this, or you see someone's personality more than just, oh, they're a photographer or this and this and that on Instagram and people know them. So like I totally agree with him in the sense of, through our community here, like we're both always very open to, if a new person's like, do you guys have any tips, or can we link up to shoot together so I can see how you work, or how can I get to where you guys are at, or like what do I have to do? And it's like, yeah, dude, whenever.
Such
like,
a rewarding feeling.
Yeah.
Just helping someone.
One of my favorite things is like when someone has questions and you answer it for them, and then you see them put it into the issue they're trying to fix, because then they're actually listening to you and they took your advice. Because you can give people advice all you want, but if they take it, that's on them. Like it doesn't always mean that they're going to. And I just think that as creatives, like if you're at a certain level and someone just needs help getting there, like why not help them? Because I mean, I don't know about him, but I dealt with it starting. I would ask people questions and sometimes I just get blown off. And they hit me with the scene on Instagram. No reply, and I'm like, okay, cool.
The reply is seen.
Seen literally just the message is seen.
Have you ever had people reaching out to you trying to
ask questions?
Yeah, ask questions.
No, I not for any tips or anything like that. I've had people kind of reach out to me in regards about like just old people, not old people, but
if you have to answer, you can.
Yeah, you can cut it out.
I don't even know who it is.
It's a scam call.
Scams. Dude, I hate those.
Reno's full of
That's
them,
the reason why I don't answer calls at all. Like,
I downloaded
even
an
nothing.
app. I downloaded an app that unless if you're my contact, the call doesn't even come in.
Oh,
It'll just give me a little message saying
like silent call or something.
RoboKiller. There's the number, and then most of the time it's like spam risk.
Yeah,
so
if you really want. If people want to talk, send me a message and be like, "This is me."
Like I do is like I just save people's number, like a client's, because then if they try to call me for whatever reason and I don't have it saved, they can't even get through to my phone. But sometimes it like bites me in the ass a bit, because like the other day I took my car to get serviced, and they were trying to call me to let me know that it was done, and I wouldn't get a phone call. You know what I mean? So the guy that I go to, he just texted me personally from his phone, and he's like, "Hey, dude, we're trying to reach you, but like your car's done." And I was like, "Oh, my bad." I was like, I should probably just take it off for the day when I have stuff like that, But yeah.
What were you saying about old people reaching out to you and stuff?
Oh, just not old people in the sense of age, just like people who have known me from before, just asking to still do music. But in regards to tips, like my buddy, he's been producing close to about the same time as I, and just also recently he's gotten into mixing, and so like he'll ask me about like scales or like any sort of like music theory, and so I'll help him, whether it's like cinema scale or like help him with like a root note or whatever, and I'll see him same thing, right? Take that advice and then apply it to his practice, and then see what the result is.
Do you have your own studio like in your house or somewhere else?
Yeah, I got my own setup at my studio. Yeah,
that's crazy,
sweet.
huh?
Yeah, that's dope.
It's kind of funny how you can like really make something dope in your house, huh?
Yeah. No, when I found out that Billie Eilish's album was done by her brother in their home studio, that kind of
that's crazy.
Set it for me, because it's just like you just need to know what you're doing.
Olivia Rodrigo's album was recorded in like a garage or something like that.
Okay.
That recent one she just dropped that everyone's obsessed with. Yeah, that was like produced in her garage.
That's so wild to me, because when you think about music, you think about this studio,
crazy
studio setup. That just goes to show, like, if you really want to do it, you can.
Yeah, you don't need
just need to know what you're doing.
Yeah, you don't need like a huge room in like New York or LA
It's
or whatever.
It's a nice aesthetic though.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
It is,
I wouldn't
yeah.
mind those acoustics.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I'm sure it helps,
Mhm.
but it just shows that if you have a decent setup at home and you know how to apply it, then that's really all you need.
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know? And it's like that for anything, you know, like there's people who will take something small and just make the most out of it, like
Yeah.
with what they have. Like I know photographers who shoot on like a $250-$300 camera and they
Mhm.
make some of the nicest photos I've ever seen, and I'm like, it's just knowing what you're doing. Like
Yeah.
the gear doesn't always matter. It helps, but I don't think it's like necessary to have. I mean, I guess depending on your practice. Like I know for music you need certain things.
Mhm.
You know, like there's not be staticky or whatever it works. You know, I'm not a music producer, so I don't know. But like,
There you go. We're back.
is it good?
Yeah.
Do you know where we left off at?
Just when I got up, so I don't know.
Okay.
I forgot what we were talking
where
about.
were we?
Kind of
Oh, we were
forgot.
talking about how certain arts require certain things
Mhm.
to maybe improve the quality of your work and stuff. But I was getting into like wanting to ask you how long you've had your setup at home for. Like how long have you had the studio?
My current setup, probably a year. I
Okay.
slowly built. So I started off recording on my brother's MacBook, just
Mhm.
using the internal built-in mic, and then just
Oh.
like previously made beats. But now I
Yeah.
have like my MIDI board interface, my monitors and stands, and then my laptop. I'd like to make the investment for just the iMac, just because
Mhm.
it's more speed, more room, so that way I'm not like slowing down with mixing. Because like I didn't realize how much I guess RAM you use.
Mm-hmm.
I'm starting to get into that because like my buddy was telling me, he's just like, you might be able to build your own computer for the same cost or for the same price it's going to cost you for the iMac.
That's true.
Oh yeah.
But the issue I run into with that is because like my software I use is Logic.
Um,
And
Okay.
so it's just like I'd have to get a DAW that is Windows compatible because I don't think Logic does that. So it's just like,
That's where it gets tricky when you're trying to build like a PC because you got to keep in mind that it's all Windows now.
Yeah.
Like you can't go to Apple products anymore. So I can see that struggle. You know, like if you already is your laptop a MacBook?
yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, no,
It would-
I've been
yeah.
I've been Apple loyal for a minute, so it's just
Yeah.
like hard to pull me off. Because I had so my brother's old Mac, I ended up converting. I had my buddy who was working at a computer guy, but he had flipped it to where it was running Windows software, so I was able to
Oh.
produce on like FL Studio with it.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
okay.
But then I was just like, I'm not doing this to another Mac.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna stick with like
Like what Apple has and
Mhm.
stuff.
Once
Yeah.
you're in, you're in. That's kind of, I'm in that little predicament right now because, I edit on Lightroom and that runs on PC, but then everything else I do on Mac. So I'm like, I really want to build a PC,
Mhm.
but then I'm like, I don't know. And then
I mean, I want to build a PC for editing and gaming, if I'm gonna be honest.
yeah.
Like, I mean, I edit in Lightroom too, so I'm not too concerned about Windows. And low key, like, I've been investigating more Windows computers, and I'm like, these are really good, man.
Mhm.
Like, they're really good computers. Like,
Yeah.
you don't have to get MacBooks all the time, you know.
Right.
Like, I love my MacBook and all, but I'm starting to realize that sometimes, like, a Windows computer might even offer you more and it's just
yeah.
gonna be cheaper because it's not
Yeah.
Apple.
I feel
So-
like that's the same thing. People have the same kind of that perspective with like the phones too.
Mhm.
Like,
Mhm.
everyone's like, "Oh yeah, you like iPhone because it's simpler." But Android, you can do so much with it. It's
Dude,
just-
yeah, you can do a ton.
I don't even know all you can do. I just
I mean, I used to have Androids for the longest time, and I was switched to iPhone during the 7.
mm,
But before that, I had like the Samsung Galaxies, and when I went to Apple, I'm like, why can't I do like all of this that I did? But now I'm so used to it that it's
Mm.
hard for me not to have an iPhone
sure.
Yeah.
anymore.
The
But
the simplicity behind it is kind of nice.
yeah, I enjoy
It's
it. But I
convenient.
feel like if you do certain things that require like a phone to be more advanced, then just get a Galaxy. Like
Sure.
get a
Mhm.
Samsung phone because they're definitely way more complex. Like you can do so much more. But it's just, I mean, Apple's nice, man. But
I wanted to ask you, like, for the younger people out there that are getting into music, what are some of like the best / easy ways to like make money as a music producer or music artist? Is that like a
To make
tough
money, man, if you know, let me know. No, I just recently opened my beat store, so I'm just trying to sell beats as producing. So like, if you are pretty good with like some sort of instrument, right? If you play drums or if you play piano, like you already have a start at like composing music. So it's just like you might have something with beat making, you know. Because like it's the same thing with songwriting, right? If you know how to play guitar, you know, scales, and you can sing, you could essentially write a song, sell it to an artist who's like a trap artist, right? And then they'll use auto-tune and then have an E minor trap beat, you know what I mean? It's the same thing, it's just a different tone. And so
It's hard,
producing is one avenue. Songwriting or writing songs, whether I'd probably start off with like writing songs for your individual self to kind of practice writing, and then maybe start looking to like
expand,
push it to other artists.
Yeah, because there's people who that's what they live off, right? Like songwriting for bigger artists and stuff.
Yeah, and that's a whole like other thing, because I feel like when it comes to songwriting, I think it's not just one particular person. I think it's like a group of individuals. They'll all throw their like reference tracks together and they kind of go from there. And I think the same thing when it comes to like beat placements. You might be a producer, but you're going to be on a team of producers, and then you guys are going to just produce this one entire thing. And that's another way too. Is just kind of the same thing as this this podcast. Is like just collaborating with other creatives and just being around people who are trying to do the same thing as you. You know?
And if you really want to make it, do you think you can do it here in Reno? Or do you think you gotta go somewhere else?
I think you can get momentum built in Reno, sure. Like I said, there is talent out here, and Reno is good with like picking up and like having its favorites, as you were mentioning about like when it came to just podcast guests, but like obviously with music that's going to come too. But I definitely think opportunity is outside of Nevada in general, not even Vegas. I think if you were really trying to thrive, the Bay Area or Cali is where it's at, and that's just because Cali alone. Northern California has a lot of focus with music just because of how much influence it has on music already, and how long it has been. And so if you're able to get connections and like collaborate with people out there, I think that's probably
the best route to take.
So try to venture out
unless we're able to create something here. I just feel as though there's kind of like this glass roof. And so it's just like, in order for you to elevate, you got to just relocate.
Expand out of here.
What are some of your goals as far as the future? I don't know, 5 years.
The 5-year plan.
5-year plan. Yeah. No, I definitely had sat down with myself to kind of see if I wanted to leave Nevada, and I might, and we'll see. I kind of want to travel and see like whereabouts I'd want to go. My mission would still be the same thing. Wherever I go, I'm going to invest and involve myself within the community, and just find where I fit in. And, you know, if that doesn't come to fruition, I end up staying in Reno, well, hopefully I can establish and create something big for Reno, you know what I mean? Or at least help be a part or like spark that mind, you know what I mean? And so.
It's interesting. It's like a weird space to be in.
Reno?
The music industry, and being here in Reno, like, I don't know, I don't see a lot of it.
Yeah, you know? I mean, I don't see a lot of music like creatives here. I mean, there's some, you know, but then I feel like they all tell me the same thing. Like you said, there's just a glass roof that at some point, if you really want to get out there, you have to get out of here to do it. And I mean, maybe it applies to other things too, like other forms of creative work. Like, you know, there's people here who are photographers that are like, I just kind of want to leave and do it elsewhere, because maybe they have a different kind of photo goal in mind. You know, like there are some that are like, I want to go to like LA and, you know, do like the influencer shoot contract things or whatever it is, or I want to shoot music artists or stuff. Obviously Reno doesn't have a lot of that, so it's like I can see it, but I think just depending on what the end goal is, like you can be fine here, but
it's kind of like, what is your idea of success? You know what I mean?
For
what
me?
is success to you? No, it's just like a question. You know what I mean? So it's very subjective as to like
like a lot of people will feel very different about what being successful is.
Mhm.
You know, I actually really enjoy asking that question to people. Like, I'm like, what's success to you? And then most people are like, having a family, a good home, and a decent car. And I'm like, okay. And then others are like, traveling to this many places, or seeing all this, and, you know, like owning this or doing that. And it's kind of funny just seeing how different success is for
What is
a lot of
success to
people.
you?
Success for me, like back at the, like, obviously when you, like, for me, it was the grand scheme of things, you know what I mean? Like, sign a record label, you know, tour and kind of thing. It was just like, as I grew up and like I experienced a lot of life, it was just like, that's not even it for me. And like, I really just want peace and tranquility.
Yeah.
And so like, I'd like to pursue music as not just a passion, but as a career. And so if I'm able to see any sort of fruits from that labor, and not just like money or revenue, you know what I mean, but like whether it's like influence of people, whether it's helping put on events that like are fundraising events, you know what I mean, and that helps, that's a direct help for somebody, like that's success for me. If I do generate revenue to where like I'm able to maybe not necessarily live off of it, but like I still can like have that, maybe that's expendable income, that's success to me, you know what I mean, because I'm
Yes.
living comfortably still for myself. And so, yeah.
What's
What's
success
success
to
to
you?
you?
Oh.
Do
I
you
don't
want
know,
to answer
man.
first or me?
I'll go first. Honestly, just being happy and being able to take care of yourself, you know.
Yeah.
Because sometimes you think success means making money and being busy. That's success. But then if it's taken away from your health and from your the social aspect, your family, if it's, you know, putting you away from your family and stuff, then I feel like that's not really, I mean, if that's what you want, then that's fine, you know.
Sure.
But like, you gotta have some sort of balance, and because being busy and having work is a blessing, but then it can get to the point that it can take away from your happiness, you know.
Yeah. Because you're so busy.
At this point, I'm trying to balance it out and be more present for my family, but still, you know, pursue this career that I'm trying to do. So that's success to me. What's success to you?
Success to me is where I'm at right now, bro. I feel like I'm already where I wanted to be as far as success, you know?
Yeah.
I'm happy with what I do. I've been full-time for 2 years. That was like my end goal after a while of taking photos. Like, I'm like, dude, I just want to wake up one day and be like, I'm a photographer. Like, that's it.
Yeah.
You know? I don't
Yeah.
really care about making thousands and thousands of dollars. I get by more than fine. I'm able to help my family or anyone who needs help. I'm able to give my time to a lot of things that I wasn't able to before. And, you know, as someone that grew up pretty much with a single mom for the longest time, and I saw her work ethic and what she did to get us by, and going from that to where we are now, just as a family and myself and how my parents are, like, I'm fine, man. Like, I feel like I'm already successful. Like, I don't care about being like, I need to make 200K and this and this and that. Like,
Sure.
to me now it's just the one end goal I have with photography is I would love to be like a travel wedding photographer. So if that's all I did, I would never ask for anything more than that.
Yeah.
Like, then I would really reach my end goal, and I'm like, there's nothing else that I want. Like, this is fine. You know, obviously, you know, when I get married and have a family and all that, you know, but that comes as time comes by. But for being, I think, at the age that I'm at, and like doing what you love as a job, to me was always like the
goal.
successful.
Yeah.
Like, when people used to ask me in high school or even in the beginning of college, like, what is success? I'm like, to me, success is waking up and loving what you do the whole day, like, as your career. And then here we are, you know? So it's like,
Sounds so cheesy, but it's just true, you know?
Yeah.
Just like, just do what you love, and
Yeah.
it's hard to find it, though, but, you know.
It's hard. And there's people who find it in other avenues. You know, I know people who love their 9-to-5 job. Like, they love it. That's their passion. That's what they want to do. And they get up genuinely excited to go work. It's just, for me, that wasn't ever
It
it.
provides some sort of fulfillment for them.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Like, to me, it was like, I don't want to work for someone for the rest of my life. Like, that's just not it to me, you know? So, like, I'm sure he feels this way now because he was definitely tired of his old job by the time he went full time. So he was probably like, screw this, dude. I'm tired of working for someone. where I have to get up at this time and I have to clock out at this time.
Because when you think about it, it's just like my existence literally is just to make this guy more money. You know what I mean? And then if I don't, someone else's existence is going to replace me. Yeah. So it's just like
that's what
I don't want
most
to do
jobs
that.
are.
I'd rather
like,
just show up for myself and other people.
It also for the longest time is like you sacrifice so much, and then when they don't need you, they can just
let you go.
get rid of you. You know?
Yeah.
And it's
Thanks
like
for coming in.
you miss so many things for work, and then at the end of the day, it's like, oh, thank you and goodbye. You know?
I think that's why when I worked normal jobs, I never went above and beyond for the company because I knew that one day they could randomly just be like, hey, we just don't need workers, so bye.
Yeah.
You know, like there was only one company I did that for, and that was for Patagonia before I went full time, but that was because the management and my boss were just the shit. You know, like my boss was the kind that was like, oh, you want to come in late because you have photo shoots? It's cool, dude, I'll write it off for you, don't worry about it. That to me is giving your employee something back, you know, because you're not going to find that anywhere else. Like I couldn't think of a job where I could go now as a photographer and I'm like, can I come in 2 hours late because I got asked to do a project? And they're like, yeah, sure. They're going to be like, no. 4 o'clock sharp.
Schedule it on your day off.
Or whatever. Yeah, it's like schedule it on your weekend. Like, so to me, that company was worth doing that for. And it was more for like my management, I guess. Like I felt that they genuinely cared for me outside of the work environment. Like we were all friends. So it's like, yeah, of course I'm going to do my job on time and make quota every single day and like, you know, do what I can to show the higher ups that you have good employees under you. Like, of course, because you're helping me out. But before that, I'm like, do whatever. I'll do what I have to do so that I don't get fired, but that's about it. Like, I'll show up on time and all that, but don't expect me to be working all this OT, like, all the time if it's not mandatory. Like, nah,
make it mandatory. Just like,
yeah. Unless they make it mandatory.
You have to volunteer. It's mandatory. Yeah.
What do you like to do for fun, man? I'm gonna just go ahead and say the gym because you look ripped, dude.
So I do enjoy lifting.
You see this fucking arms on this guy, bro?
He's got short sleeves on too, so you're like,
bro, you see those veins popping out, man?
That's why I have a long sleeve. I don't want to show my noodle arms.
Right.
No, yeah. I haven't been in the gym. I've been back in the gym since November. I was out for like all of COVID and last year just because like if the gym wasn't shut down, I wasn't comfortable. Same thing with like my haircut. My hair is like crazy now. But then obviously with my knee now, I am back to being couch ridden. So gym's going to be like real physical therapy for me. So we're going to see how getting back in is.
Wait, is it really like messed up or?
I got 7 stitches, yeah. So I didn't finish that story. So on my way back over, I didn't scale the wall. I put all my weight on just like this part of the fence. It was like very flimsy wood. Overestimated the durability. And I went forward. Knee got all of it. My eye got hit.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
When was this?
I've not told anyone this but my mom. No,
when was this?
This was Sunday. I literally just got off work.
So this just happened?
Yeah.
This past weekend? Oh, bro, that's rough.
Yeah, and I can't remember it. Yeah, no, it was like I got off at like 3:30. I got home about 4 o'clock, and it happened about 4 o'clock, 4:10. I was just I wasn't home for very long, and so.
I mean, you watch anime, right?
Yeah.
Okay. We can talk a little
about
that.
Binge, yeah.
Is Naruto your favorite thing?
So it's the one I've watched fully. I've caught up on Black Clover. That one I really enjoy. And then right now it's I can't think of the name, but something Kekai, I think.
Jujutsu Kaisen?
Not Jujutsu Kaisen. I'd have to look on Crunchyroll. We'll talk about it after. I don't want to pull the phone. But so outside of gym, right? Hobbies, anime is definitely one, or binging any type of show. I enjoy reading and writing outside of like lyrics, like I journal and whatnot. That's real big for my self-care because like for me, I've come from like a background I had to like kind of accept and come to terms with, and this is kind of like where Naruto kind of helped, right? Because like there's the scene where he's learning how to tame his 9-tailed beast, and I think that kind of is applicable to all of us. Like we have our own demons that we kind of face, whether it's like from our past childhood trauma or whatever, like and until we are able to kind of confront that, address that, and like figure out how to improve and move from that, we're gonna hold ourselves back. And so with that, like that kind of shown me a sense of like self-awareness And that was along the time of like I was getting in my like self-care, self-love journey, so everything kind of just aligned.
That's interesting, man.
That's why
I
it's
definitely
taken-
like your state of mind, you know, your self-improvement mindset. When did that start? Do you know?
Recently, yeah.
Recently?
No, it wasn't until like a couple of years ago. I had like noticed I just had this like behavioral pattern. Like when I'd like get out of a relationship, I'd like enter this real depressive state of mind. It was just like, oh, you know, and then I really just had to look at myself like, you don't know your own self-worth because you've not really established that within yourself. You allow the validation of others to give you that worth. And so as soon as they leave, that validation goes with them, or you have to like question everything they said to you. And so once I realized I need to not do that, that I'm the only constant in my life, so it matters how I treat and like present myself, that's when things kind of clicked for me. Because like growing up, my dad injured himself like when I was about 3 years old, so my mom then had to work for like the whole family. So it was just like my dad, my mom, and then my brother, sister, and I, so 5 of us. And so my mom, all growing up, was just working, so I didn't really spend much time with her. Like my siblings got like their run with like when she was home, and then I just kind of was like,
since you were so little,
born, I got to go to work, be home with your dad. And then my dad was just kind of like always in his room, whether he was like dealing with his back pain or he was just kind of off to himself. And so that kind of created like inner turmoil with you have like conflict with like your parental, right? Or that father-son relationship kind of if it's not addressed, it kind of boils over, right? And so that was one thing I had to address with him too. It was like there was an opportunity we had where I was like, just asking him things like, you know, how come you didn't teach me how to play guitar? You knew how to play guitar. You taught yourself how to play guitar. You knew I was taking an interest in music. That was a missed opportunity. Why not, right?
Yeah.
And it's those kind of conversations where it's like, he unfortunately was not able to have the conversation. He would always like, if it's a difficult conversation for him, he's real quick to like, we'll talk about it another time. Let's sit down. It's just like, let's talk about it now instead of like, because now we're both in a place of mind where we can discuss it as adults.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I have no sort of like bitterness or emotion attached to this moment in time, but let's figure out as to why it didn't happen.
Like you still want the closure for it.
Yeah. And that's just with anything. That's how I am with anybody. Like if there's any sort of like issue that's not resolved, or there's like any sort of like something that needs clarity provided, until that is given, I can't move forward with you. Just because like I just need to have a clear conscience and everything.
Some people don't get it because it might be uncomfortable, you know.
Sure. Yeah.
Some people don't like discomfort like that, but it's definitely a good way to be clear with yourself and others.
I think getting closure on anything just helps some people more than others.
Sure.
Like there's others that are like, whatever, I didn't get the closure. But there are some that they, like you said, they just really don't move on until they do, because it's just in the back of their mind a lot, you know. And like I mean, me personally, I think I'm a little bit of both. Like I think depending on the situation, it's like, is it even worth it for me to get closure?
Right.
Or, you know, I feel like I do need it in a sense. So, I mean, I think like, that's kind of how I see it. As like, is this something worth getting closure for? Right. Or is this something that, okay, it happened, I'm not really too concerned about the closure part of it. Like, let's move on. So, how do you see that? Like, do you have certain times where you're like, I don't need it?
I think there's times when you have to give the closure yourself, and it's like that goes along with the lines of like being able to forgive someone who didn't apologize, you know. And with like for me personally, so if I'm able to do that, if I'm able to provide the closure for myself, that's because okay, well, at least I brought up this concern to them. It wasn't necessarily fixed. I tried. I can wash my hands away from it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then just move forward from there.
Yeah. I like that, man. I like how this turned into more of a deep conversation.
Yeah.
You know,
sometimes you gotta talk about these things, man.
Yeah, man. That's why I like this podcast. You know, you come in and people who don't know you, they realize that you're this this guy that really is trying to improve himself too, you know, and that's
Well, I think
definitely
your
valuable
mental
too.
state is admirable because a lot of people don't see life like that. Like they're not like, I had to work on myself. Like you said, they seek validation from everyone besides them, and that's just, in my opinion, that's so unhealthy. Like
And
you should never,
validation, is,
Especially today in the age of like the internet,
Exactly.
like validation is so like accessible, and so like we rely on it even more, and so it's just like I have to take myself, not just for a multitude of reasons. I'll delete like Instagram or like Twitter off just so I'm not like, if I'm like working, like creating, I'm not distracted, like just checking like the timeline and everything like that. But
'cause it
also
can be
just because
very
like you're just
distracting.
feeding that, yeah.
and validation is everywhere. Like you have to be very self-aware of your feelings, because sometimes you are chasing that validation, you don't even know it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, there's
So-
times people don't think they're after it, but deep down they are.
Yeah.
It's just they don't address it.
You
know?
gotta really, and if you don't know yourself that well, then you're gonna be feeling depressed. You're gonna be acting in that behavioral way, and you don't even realize it. You know, so you have to be really conscious and be like, okay, why am I doing this?
I feel like I used to be one of those people.
I used to be
Like-
too. Not too long ago, I was chasing likes and trying to post things in a way that people post things that I knew were gonna get
Attract
me.
attention or
Yeah.
something,
Mm-hmm.
And so it's just a good way to really improve yourself. Like, get to know yourself, get to know why you're doing certain things, and then move on from there.
For me, it was like I just never thought of myself how I should have. Like I didn't say, okay, put yourself above others first, because there's only one you ever.
Yeah.
And then I think when I broke out of that, like, some people may say it sounds selfish, but in my opinion, like, you're the most important person in your
But that's
whole life.
okay, right? Because
But
it's
that's
like
okay.
it's okay for you to be selfish. Like you could be selfish and I can be selfish because we're all looking out for ourselves. But like when we're able to, once we take care of ourselves, I can then take care of you.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
I don't think I'm a strong believer that if you aren't in the right mind space with yourself, there's no way you can spread that to anyone else. Like, you got to fix yourself first before anything.
It's like the same reason as like if you start off, if you have like trouble at home, like say you spilt coffee in the morning, right? So you started your day off rough, and now you continue your day because of that one incident. So now you're just projecting that negativity on other people. It's just
like you let one thing just ruin your whole day.
Yeah.
Yep. I agree.
All right, boys. We're getting to the end of this.
Yeah.
Like 2 more minutes.
Oh yeah.
Oh, you want me to run it longer?
No, it's cool. No, we're about that time. Well, hey man, it's been
a pleasure,
awesome
bro.
It's been a pleasure.
conversation.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's
Yeah.
been
It's very
great.
nice to
I'm
meet
glad
you.
we dove into all these different topics because
And too, yeah.
sometimes it's needed. No, but tell us where we can find your stuff. You know, besides like Instagram, like do you have like a Spotify, SoundCloud?
Yes,
Like,
Spotify, SoundCloud, Apple Music, Travis Wayne, Travis, Wayne, Wayne.
Like
not
Bruce
the
Wayne?
country artist.
like Bruce Wayne.
Very similar to Bruce Wayne, yeah.
But Travis Wayne.
I have a W of foam on my wall, and there's times when like the light at night will hit, and it kind of reminds me of the best.
Of that logo.
Yeah, I tried to take a picture. It's just like, fuck, it doesn't do it justice. No one will believe me. So,
They're like, nah, you're capping. There's no way. No, that's dope, man. Well, hey, I mean, we hope our listeners got some good insight from this episode because we
Hopefully.
definitely,
Yeah, absolutely.
Very
I know I
informational.
definitely did.
yeah.
And-
No, it was great to have you come and pick your mind, and you know, just the kind of person that you are. I think is great, and people should really take that in consideration. Like, look out for yourself first,
Yeah.
Yes.
because then that allows you to do it for other people.
And just
Absolutely.
be outspoken about
That's the
your
message for
beliefs
this
too.
podcast today, guys.
Yeah, and be outspoken.
Take care of you.
Take care of you.
Take
Have-
care of you, all right? It's
have-
not selfish.
Have strong
And if you
opinions,
feel
too.
like it is, it's okay. You got to look out for yourself because nobody
I was
else
in
will.
like I always say like I'm Wayne Swanson wishing you take care, self-care, and so it's just like always because it's just like even in like the littlest things like is self-care, like even just speaking to yourself kindly, you know what I mean, in moments when you're like kind of sabotaging yourself. It's like, hey, be gentle, you know.
Yeah.
Yes.
No,
Doing all
definitely.
right.
All right, everybody. We'll see you on the next episode. Thank
Yep.
you so much for watching.
Yeah, thanks for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right.
And that's a wrap.
Bye.
Can we get over it? Should we just keep this up? Can we get over it? 'Cause haven't we had enough? Can we get over it? be honest.